Hello everyone, Percy7 here, back again with more Dragonball Terraria Season 2. Now this is picking up shortly after I beat the Goblin Army, where I'm making the Turtle Hermit armor set. Now of course, switching out, Victide with Turtle Gi does get rid of the set bonus, which is actually, pretty useful. Increased movement speed is really important as mobility. Without a doubt, it's probably one of the most important aspects of Terraria. That's just my personal opinion. Even though I do lose out on that mobility armor set, it does increase my ki even further, which is what I definitely need more than mobility, as the key weapons I have are definitely the strongest weapons I have access to right now, but of course those strongest weapons don't mean anything if I can't actually use them. This does become slightly annoying, like in the early game, as essentially each boss just becomes a massive DPS race. It's basically just, hopefully I can kill the boss faster than I run out of ki. It's not the most fun or interesting way to play, but there really only is a problem early game. Plus, apparently there's going to be a 1.2 update that was announced on the official, Dragon Ball Terraria Calamity, not Terraria Calamity, just official Dragon Ball Terraria devs YouTube channel. I'll link that in the description if you want to check it out. Now I headed over to the jungle to, believe it or not, fight Queen Bee. I know it's a bit too early for me to really be thinking about it, since at this time I haven't beaten Brain of Cthulhu yet, I'm pretty sure. And of course, Queen Bee in my opinion is a lot more difficult than Brain of Cthulhu. And more difficult than Skeletron, but that's later on. Anyways, I was assaulted by a blood moon, which again, it's another one. I'm assuming this is just a feature of Calamity's death mode, as it just constantly, I am being bombarded with just blood moons just all the time. I'm not really complaining, as it is a good way, get money and I guess just in general just materials. But at the same time, I really don't need this many to happen all at one time. Now I'm heading over to fight Queen Bee just to see where I'm at. I do like to get a feel for where I'm at with the bosses to hopefully, just get a sense of what I'm lacking, whether it just be mobility, a better arena, just more ki, or if I'm just not dealing enough damage. So, it just kind of, I guess for me personally, I just kind of like to feel out the bosses before I actually give it a really try hard effort. Now I don't believe I showed this yet, but this is the Kaioken Form. After skimming around and just clicking back and forth throughout the previous video, since I did need to, skim around to see where I ended off and where I was at. I don't remember seeing the Kaioken form here, but this is what it looks like. You really won't be seeing too much of the Kaioken form, as it drains your health as well as increased ki costs. Draining my health is definitely not something I want to do, especially early game, where I just need as much health as I can get, especially against death mode bosses. This was a problem I had back in Season 1 of Dragon Ball Terraria, is that I just couldn't use Kaioken simply because it drained too much health to make it viable. Even at late game, there really wasn't much reason to use Kaioken over, well, the legendary Super Saiyan technique. Hopefully, it's a issue that I guess is addressed, in a new update. As I believe Kaioken should maybe work like this. Maybe Kaioken could not drain as much ki and not do as much damage, but of course it drains health. It's weaker than the Super Saiyan techniques, but you do get the added benefit of maybe, let's say, it doesn't drain your ki as fast, so you can use the form more often because it doesn't drain as much ki. That's just, I guess, just my thing I can think at the top of my head, but it's really just up to the devs. Of course, there is a Super Kaioken technique, which it combines Super Saiyan and, of course, Kaioken. You really won't be seeing any of that because it drains ki as well as health. Of course, it increases your damage a lot, but again, it just simply isn't worth it, especially early game, as it drains too much ki to actually be viable, and the damage trade-off just isn't really worth it. Here I decided to get another weapon, being Yajirobe's Katana. Now, main reason being is, well, of course weapons I have right now are long range weapons. Having a close range weapons would be nice, especially since Farmer's Shotgun isn't really that good at close range. That really is more of a long range weapon. I mean, just in general, Farmer's Shotgun just isn't kind of good. I mean, it's okay, but it really just is a worse boomstick. Now, I was able to make these weapons just because, I had to go to the jungle to get Calm Key Crystals, which unlocks after you get Calm Key Crystals after you beat Cthulhu. I believe, which of course is this last episode. These weapons that I get here I'll be using for a really long time, just simply because the next time you have access to key crystals, it is kind of annoying to grind them. I won't tell now because you'll see later on, but it just really is annoying just getting the next tier weapon. Anyways, after taking a little break to go do whatever, I can't remember. This footage was recorded a few days ago. Here's what the Energy Blast Barrage looks like. It's a very, I guess, inconsistent technique is the best way I can describe it, as the spread pattern can get a little annoying, as there are times where it will miss bosses, just anything in general. So the next boss on my list I saw was Hive Mind Ultimate Army. It did say beat Brain of Cthulhu, but after looking at the previous episode I didn't find any evidence of me actually beating Brain of Cthulhu. I ended up dying at like the last second, and looking back at the footage I recorded, I couldn't find any evidence of me actually fighting Brain of Cthulhu. I'm going to assume that I accidentally did it off camera, as there are times where OBS will stop recording for whatever reason, even though I have more than enough space in my hard drive. I don't know, it's just a weird bug I guess. So I guess there's that. We didn't really miss much, as the Brain of Cthulhu fight was pretty much the same thing just in the last episode, except I just didn't die. I head underground to look for the Bound Goblin. Now, not for reforging, which is surprising, but simply for the Tinker's Workshop and the rocket boots. I wanted to free some space up in my accessories slot, and of course the easiest way to do that is to combine the Hermes boots and the rocket boots to make the Spectre boots. Now of course, since I have, the water walking boots and the ice skates, I can make the frostbark boots, which of course will lead into other powerful accessories later on, but there's really no use talking about them since I can't get them in pre-hard mode. Now of course, back on the surface, I decided to see what I can make with this new Tinker's Workshop. First thing I made was a scouter, although I really won't be using the scouter just at all during this entire series, as well. The only thing it increases is damage. Of course it does give the hunter effect, but I think taking, a whole accessory slot just to increase damage and no really, I guess, other useful benefit, to me isn't really worth it. Now of course, like I said before, the main thing I wanted out of this was the frostbark boots, which are the best boots I can make at the moment until I unlock hard mode. Here you can already see a sneak peek of what's to come. Skipping forward quite a bit, I decided to challenge the perforator hive just to see where I was at, and I don't think I did too bad of an attempt, Wasn't the best, but I guess it was just decent to say the least. Now one thing I figured I lacked was a bigger arena, so I expanded the arena out a bit, and I made another attempt doing much worse than before. So I expanded my arena yet again because I figured, bigger would be better, and of course I would have to come back to the Crimson biome anyways to fight future bosses like Slime God. Now I think this is what, attempt 3, 4? I can't remember. Anyways, I died yet again. Fun. For whatever reason, I just couldn't replicate the success I had from the first attempt. I really thought I would have had this by like my second or third, but just keep doing it. I decided to read the Calamity wiki just for tips on this boss, just to maybe speed up the process a bit instead of, I guess, just fighting it, learning what I should do. Now, just to make the bosses just a tad bit easier, I just decided to get the best modifiers I could on my weapons and some of my accessories, but as you can see, some of the accessories are incredibly expensive to reforge. Now I believe there's a bug with reforging key weapons, as if you saw there, the Transcended Key Blast took 2056 key to use, meaning I could only fire it once before I was out of key, and it wasn't even like the damage corresponding with it, it was just slightly better. Now, of course, it is a really annoying bug, as this means I can't reforge any key weapons, as I'm assuming that it's not unique just to this one weapon. Well, it is a bit annoying. I just made another one, but I guess it's just for the future. I would just have to remember that I just straight up can't reforge key weapons, so if I get a really bad modifier, I'll just have to make another one, and just hope and pray the materials to get another one aren't too expensive. Anyways, here is my winning attempt of beating the perforator. It did take a fair few attempts, I will admit, but I mean, this is the first time I actually played Calamity's death mode, and will probably be the first time I've played Calamity to completion. I have played through Calamity quite far on my own, but I just never actually finished it. Not like it was too hard or anything, I don't know, I just stopped playing. Although it's just kind of a common thing I do throughout Terraria. I'll start worlds but never finish them. Overall, it was a pretty fun fight. It was first time I actually beaten Hive Mind on Death Mode. Well, all these bosses, first time I've beaten on Death Mode. I never actually played Death Mode before. Was pretty fun, because it was a change of pace from how Perforator is fought normally. I do believe that in just normal vanilla Calamity, Perforator doesn't go invincible whenever he spawns the worms. I remember that I would just ignore them and not really bother with them, but I did have to deal with them or not actually damage Perforator. So, what's next, you might ask? Well, when I looked on the Dragonball Terraria Calamity add-on, which is the just Calamity add-on mod, not made by the official Calamity devs, I saw that there was this new mechanic in the game called Zenkai. What Zenkai basically is that it was a permanent stat boosting effect that could stack 10 times. In order to actually get Zenkai, what you need to do is you need to fight a boss and then get below, I think it was 30% health, or when the boss was able to one-shot you. And you needed to stay alive for 3 minutes or at once it happens. Now you don't actually have to stay at 30% health when it happens. What you can just easily do is just, take the damage, heal back up, and then boom, just stay alive for 3 minutes. I did this against Cthulhu as, other bosses, I'd probably have trouble, actually staying alive after I dropped down below 30. And especially since I had to survive for 3 minutes, I decided to do it against Cthulhu because Cthulhu is a very easy boss. Looking back, I probably could have done it against King Slime, but whatever. Now here, I was actually looking at the wiki because I guess maybe it wasn't working because, I feel like I was pretty low on health. I was at like 50, 30 health, but it still wasn't activating. You've reached Zenkai when you have the Zenkai charm equipped and it starts counting down from 3 minutes above your head. I decided to remove some of my armor to make it, I guess, just easier to get below 30% health or just in one shot range of the boss. Like I said before, this stacks up to 10 times, so every time you do a Zenkai, your health increases by 10. And of course, some of your damage also increases as well, your key damage as well. Mainly, I was doing this for health, because, you know, I just need every help I can get against Calamity Death Mode, as I really just, kind of going into Uncharted territory here. I was thinking, you know, I didn't really want to do 10 stacks right off the bat, as that would take over half an hour to do, assuming you did it perfectly. But, you know, I've also figured that it might be too OP having 500 health in pre-hard mode. Thinking about it, I would say no, not really. Maybe later on, but I can also imagine that you'd probably be taking a lot of damage using Kaioken techniques, but I guess that's just me. Another common theme you will see throughout the entire, like, this mod series in general is that you will have to do some sort of boring or just, I guess, repetitive task in order to get stronger. Same thing could be said with Super Saiyan once you unlock that. In order to unlock Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3, you have to master Super Saiyan 1 and of course Super Saiyan 2 respectively, in order to unlock the higher Super Saiyan levels. How do you master Super Saiyan? Well, you have to stay in Super Saiyan for a set amount of time, or you can take damage while in Super Saiyan form. Of course, the fastest way to do this is just sit in the Super Saiyan form. If you just sit right by the nurse and just keep going Super Saiyan, and once you run out of ki, just ask the nurse to heal you, it replenishes all your ki. You know, you can just do that over and over and over and over and over again until you eventually master Super Saiyan 1. It's incredibly boring and takes a really long time to do, but I mean, I think it's the most efficient way. It's taking damage, you know, in Super Saiyan form. You know, maybe you can spawn a slime now that damage you, but that's inconsistent damage, so of course you want to fight against a boss. But, you know, going Super Saiyan drains your ki and increase the ki cost of ki weapons, so really, it's kind of hard to use Super Saiyan against bosses as you'll run out of ki just very quickly. So I think the most efficient way is really just sitting in Super Saiyan by the nurse and just wait until you master it. It's not the most efficient way to play, and I think that really is just kind of, I guess, abusing a mechanic, but I mean, really, it's really only just to make Super Saiyan viable, because early game, you really won't really see too much of Super Saiyan. Now, of course, this is a lot of information just throw at you all at one time, but if you want to, like, I guess, learn more about Terraria Calamity add-on and what it, like, offers from, you know, I guess, just original Dragonball Terraria, I'll leave a link to the wiki in the description. Maybe you can read more on Zenkai there if anything confuses you. I'm gonna end the episode here, as really the rest of this recording I did was just me getting Zenkai against Cthulhu, which you can see the main strategy is just running around from Cthulhu while the timer above my head counts down. Once it counts down to 0, I'll have achieved Zenkai and will have increased my power and power, damage, health even further than it is before. So anyways, that's what I'm getting in the episode here. I do believe this episode's getting a bit long. I do want to keep my Dragon Ball Terraria episodes a bit, like, I guess, under 20 minutes. So, you know, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, drop a like. Also, join the Discord, join the discussion, you know. It's kind of empty right now, it's just me. Link to the Discord channel will be in the description. Hopefully the link isn't dead, but it shouldn't be.